The Washington Commanders, you feel, could actually be able to win double digit games for the first time in a very long time. And with them winning 10 games or more, are they going to be able to get into the playoffs this year?
Honestly, I think so. I really do because as we know, the conference as a whole has definitely got weaker with all the QB talent going pretty much to the AFC. Jalen Hurts is arguably the best quarterback in this conference, and after him, I don't know who you put. Matthew Stafford maybe, or I think even Jared Goff may be in that conversation. More of the story, I definitely think Washington has an opportunity in front of them where they could make the playoffs. Now, are they going to win the division? I'm not sure, but getting one of those wild card spots are definitely in play for Washington, and I definitely really don't see a reason why we can't qualify for that. Again, the conference as a whole has really got weaker from the most important position on the field, that's quarterback. Again, I think Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott are the cream of the crop when it comes to that top of the quarterback chain there in the NFC, and Kirk Cousins and stuff like that. So I definitely think Washington has a very, very solid and great chance to make the playoffs. Again, not necessarily win a division, but just punching their ticket into the postseason. And coming from a Washington fan, that's all I can ask.
What about the Washington Commanders has you believing that this team is going to be able to make it to the postseason in 2023?
Oh man, there's a multitude of reasons why I feel like Washington can make it to the postseason this season. Should we start with the most obvious one that has nothing to do with the on-field directly, and that is the selling of the team? Daniel Snyder is no longer the owner of the Washington Commanders, and as a diehard fan, this is the most exciting news because, bro, I didn't think he would ever sell the team in my lifetime. I thought he was going to always be it, at least in my lifetime. So to see him finally selling the team is a huge relief. He was such a toxic person on and off the field, a controlling owner, and just kind of just put this dark spell on a once proud franchise. This is a franchise that once was at the top of the league in the upper echelon. Like plenty teams back then, they modeled their team after the Washington then Redskins. And then once Dan Snyder took over, all that went downhill. So starting right there, that in itself gives me a huge reason of belief that we can make some noise this season. Then you go to the actual on-field talent. I feel like Washington honestly has one of the best complete rosters in the NFL. Now, obviously, the quarterback position in itself, which is the biggest position, is still a question mark there. But if you try to take that out and look at the rest of the roster in its whole, I think Washington has one of the most complete rosters in the NFL. I mean, from the running back room, Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson and the drafting of Chris Rodriguez Jr. to the wide receiving core, who I think is one of the best wide receiving cores in football, led by Terry McLaurin, who's coming off a Pro Bowl season, second year in Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel obviously still being that versatile piece there. And you still got De'Ami Brown, who is a guy that has a lot of potential and has a lot of experience with our new quarterback in Sam Howell, as they went to University of North Carolina together and made some noise there. Then you go to the tight end room. The tight end room features Logan Thomas, a veteran who had a really good year in 2020, and then he got hit with a ton of injuries, but now he's back healthy, and I think he can be a solid piece. But what makes me even more excited about the tight end room is the young guys that we have behind him. Cole Turner going into his second year, and then you got Curtis Hodges. We did lose Amani Rogers in minicamp earlier this offseason for the rest of the year, but that has a lot of opportunity for down the line in the future. He can sit down and get healthy while we still get some valuable play from our young guys, such as Cole Turner and Curtis Hodges and even John Bates. But Logan Thomas very clearly is still the number one tight end on this roster, and I think he can be that real good red zone threat that we need. And then you go to the offensive line, which was terrible last year. It's definitely much, much better. We went out and signed Andrew Wiley from Kansas City. We got Nick Gates, and we also have some young guys that we drafted in the season prior. You got Chris Paul, who was competing for the left guard position with Sadiq Charles, who they are taking a strong liking to. You got Sam Cosmi, who was originally drafted as a tackle, but now is making that start at right guard for us. And at left tackle, you still got the veteran in Charles Leno, who isn't the best, but he is average. He's okay. So the offensive line has vastly improved. And then you flip gears to the defensive side of the ball. I mean, must I talk much about the defensive line, JT? You know how good that defensive line is, led by Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, who just got his bag this year. You still got Montez Sweat, and you got a healthy Chase Young finally coming back, and the depth behind it, and KJ Henry and James Smith Williams and Casey Toohill and F.A. Obata. We are deep at that position. And then you go to the secondary. The linebacker room, I like Jamin Davis. He's still a young guy that's learning. If there is a weakness on our team, it probably would be that linebacker room, but it's still solid. You got Cody Barton, who you signed. But the secondary is what really amazes me, man. You go out and you get Emmanuel Forbes in the first round, a guy that had 13 career interceptions at Mississippi State, and 6 of them things returned to the house. Ball hawk, to say the least. Then you still got Benjamin St. Juice, who I think can be one of the best cornerbacks in football if he can stay healthy. And you still got the savvy veteran who is still pretty young, too. He's only 27 years old, but he's a Super Bowl champion, and Kendall Fuller. So you got that veteran guy there at the cornerback position. And then you go to the safeties, man. Cameron Curl, to me, is one of the best safeties in football. The only thing that he struggles with is turnovers. He hasn't been able to cash in with turnovers, but when you look at the complete package, Cam Curl is the guy that you want to be in that secondary and the last line of defense. And he's going to get paid, I would say, next offseason. Derek Forrest is a guy that emerged last season who was really good for us last season, and I think can take another leap next season coming up. And then you got Percy Butler, who you just drafted in the second round, and Jeremy Reeves and Percy Butler. Man, I just gave you our whole roster breakdown, man. I'm telling y'all, our team is complete, and that's the reason. That's really the big reason why I feel like we can be good this year. And obviously, Eric Bieniemy being the new offensive coordinator. But again, the main point that I want to drive home is that our roster is just complete. We really don't have no weaknesses. Just a question mark of can Sam Howell be that guy? So that's really my reasons behind why I feel like we can be so successful this year. It's just mainly because we have a complete roster.
Now let's segue to this, right?